Men are trash. Um, it's something we hear a lot about. It's something that's um, been touted a lot, and with good reason. Much of the time, the violence, the abuse, the misogyny that has been violating women for time immemorial is inexcusable. But in thinking about that and processing that, I thought I'd share some ideas that perhaps could help us to understand um, why is this even possible in today's age, and in what context do guys perpetrate such violent crimes against those people they purport to love. And I think it comes down to three things. The first is, I think we can't discount the impact of the patriarchal society in which many of us, have been raised. Um, for many of us, we grew up in households where there was a strong man, and what that strong man said was what was going to happen, regardless of whether they were right or wrong. In fact, even if they were wrong, they had the right to be right, regardless of the facts or evidence surrounding any particular decision. That meant that many of us grew up, both as males and females, acquiescing to the whim and the preference of a strong man. And it's only when you become a man and you're trying to relate to a partner in a relationship that you realize that perhaps subtly those same attributes have become ingrained in you, and you act them out even when you don't really intend to. It's just what you know. In fact, it's the stage and the set on which a lot of relationships play out. They are founded on that patriarchal upbringing. That means that might, in this case, the strong man is always right. I think the second thing that's key to understanding the dysfunction that enters into relationships is the fact that communication, particularly around feelings, is not something that's heavily encouraged all through the upbringing of young men. Their own fathers will actively discourage their expression of what they would consider to be weak emotion, care, tenderness, gentleness, those kinds of things, and actively encourage anger and aggression and so on. So, consequently, the young man has never been taught to process and articulate himself when he's not feeling exactly right, when he's heartbroken or feeling tired or angry or hurt or disappointed or ugly. And the only alternative that we were taught, perhaps not directly, but perhaps indirectly, is just when you are upset and you don't know what to do, don't negotiate, don't discuss, just find someone else. Find someone else who agrees with you and be with them. Don't fight for that relationship. Just walk away, or perhaps not even actively walk away, but passively embark on another relationship that's different to the one that you're already in. And then lastly, I would say that closely tied to the inability to communicate is the fact that our society doesn't really cater for the fact that a lot of the things that make us dysfunctional are the injuries that come from our upbringing, observing other people around us relate. I don't really know how many people can say they've ever seen a fully functional romantic relationship in an African, perhaps a Zimbabwean context, where a man and a woman embark on that journey and love each other and start a family and are faithful to each other until death do them part. I think those stories are becoming more and more rare, and the fact that they're becoming more and more rare means that those of us who have observed that dysfunction actively, either as part of a family or even beyond, walk into other contexts. We walk into a relationship with someone's daughter or somebody's son, and we bring our hurt and our questions and our anger into that relationship, and that person is burdened with all this stuff that they don't even realize about. And when we act out, it's not necessarily because they're not good enough. It's because there's a lot of unprocessed stuff that's sitting under the surface that's never been confronted. So consequently, in the example of an intimate, close relationship, if I say I love you to someone and they say they love me back, we haven't necessarily said the same thing. So what would I say to today's woman that's trying to enter into this relationship with a young, particularly black man from an African heritage, upbringing, and background? We don't come in great shape. I don't think. Our upbringing, our society has nurtured us to become people that are fully functional in the context of monogamous relationship. So any relationship that stands the chance of being successful is going to need time, patience, and negotiation, and above all, honesty, and the room to just allow those things to surface to the top, because it's probably the first time that that guy is having to confront in a meaningful way what he's feeling, and that can be threatening, that can be really, really challenging at times. But if you can get beyond and process through all of that stuff, there's an incredible breakthrough on the other side. As somebody that's previously failed in this regard, I think I now know more now than I did then when I was involved in close, intimate relationships, but I wasn't ready to fully appreciate and function as somebody who's mature, that I'm carrying a lot, and so a lot of guys. So it's true that men are trash, and that men have been trash, but oftentimes that is a result of a lot of context that was out of their control. We need your help.